Don't worry, we're gonna be just fine.
Is there a way to reach the top and tell the survival story? The film No Way Up immerses the audience in a suspenseful survival tale that may sound familiar, yet it offers a fresh viewpoint on humanity's conflict with sharks. No Way Up is a time-passing film that belongs in the category of movies that are meant to be watched for enjoyment, rather than ones that are meant to frighten you. Now the question arises, does this movie offer a fresh perspective? While there is a brilliant moment of carnage in the movie's opening spoof on Final Destination, the film falls short of its expectations. No Way Up's potential for greatness is hampered by a number of decisions made, such as characters who receive development before being unceremoniously removed. In the movie, sharks board a plane, but the movie would rather remain in its mediocrity than make use of this corny selling point to make a statement. The movie plot centers on Avia, a billionaire's daughter, who is getting ready to travel to Mexico with her lover Jed, played by Jeremiah Zamor, his friend Kyle, played by Will Attenborough, and security Brandon, played by Colm Meaney. Sadly, the group's aircraft crashes into the sea. Ava and her companions were spared the crash, but those who are still breathing in the wreckage of the aircraft must fight to survive against hungry sharks who want to transform it into an all-you-can-eat buffet. The movie has a great beginning, but it quickly runs out of shocks and uniqueness, leaving it, at best, mediocre. No Way Up is quite serious for a movie with such an absurd premise, but it may have worked if it turned up the camp. There's almost nothing exciting about it. Critics are of the opinion that this thriller seems to sink more often than swim. What do you think? The writing is forgettable, the direction is erratic, and the performances are largely lifeless. Every element that had the potential to be something special is eliminated early on, giving the audience little to no suspense for the duration of the movie. The death scenes lack a lot of depth and gore. The most creative scene in the movie is the plane accident, but despite its best efforts, it isn't very realistic. If you look, the movie is essentially devoid of comedy, and the jokes that are told seem forced. With the exception of Brandon, who appears exclusively in the opening act of the movie, none of the characters have much nuance. Since Brandon's character is the most intricate in the beginning scenes, it is really sad that he is absent for the majority of the movie. When a character as highly developed as Brandon is absent from most of the film, it indicates that the character design of the characters in the movie is mediocre. Because of this, it seemed strange to drop him. It was almost as if Meaney was too expensive for the time of the film. Since Brandon seems to be the story's guide, his disappearance throws the entire plot off and makes it less interesting. It might have been intended as a shock to the audience that Brandon, a highly skilled bodyguard with numerous practical survival abilities, ends up not being the main character. Even yet, the film's narrative flow is harmed by his untimely passing. Fortunately, Nana, played by Phyllis Logan, survives long enough to become a memorable, assertive grandma. If the screenplay is otherwise mediocre, Logan gives it his all, which is perhaps the best thing that No Way Up has to offer. However, Sophie McIntosh as Ava and Richard Attenborough as Kyle, their performances fall short of expectations. The film's principal actor, McIntosh, performs a passable job, failing to bring the necessary heart to the role. In a menial job, Attenborough is forgettable, and Amor is similarly unmemorable. Given how little substance there is in this movie, it's difficult to care what happens in the end. One thing to like about this movie is that it's not dull. After a few drinks, it might even make a good popcorn movie, but most people will forget about it after a night. Will everyone who watches the movie feel like that? As an example, the entire setup surrounding Ava's affluent father is pointless. Even if Nana gives the best performance, she is still undervalued. That's all there is to it. She's a grandmother who lost her spouse and is desperately trying to protect her granddaughter. When characters do pass away, there is no character development, therefore. The audience is left feeling empty. While there are some enjoyable graphic scenes, nothing as frightening as in a similar, faster-paced fish attack film like Piranha 3D. The movie delivers very little that most horror fans haven't seen before, and is incredibly predictable. The deaths happen quickly, but this movie would have been more noticeable if they had been more severe. While exciting, the shark carnage accomplishes nothing new or novel. As it is, this movie satisfies every prerequisite for a movie of this kind, but it falls short of going above and beyond to be a real smash. A lot of people believe that this movie is merely another imitation shark attack film. Are films like this meant to evoke fresh feelings in viewers, or are they only rehashing material that has already been released from other shark attack films? The screenplay for No Way Up by Andy Mason is so simple that it sounds like it was created for a 2000s sci-fi movie.
Virtual production approach for the end sequence of the movie is quite exciting to me, because obviously it was impossible to have a full plane sink in the water next to an actress or several actors.
Claudio Fa's direction is decent, but it never comes together to create anything truly noteworthy. It is best to view this movie as a B film and take it at face value. With a few intriguing moments, the movie is definitely entertaining, but the story lacks depth and is not very interesting. The basic premise of the movie is people struggling to get out of a bad position, but there aren't many stakes because the plot and characters don't really grow all that much. Fortunately, the movie only lasts a snappy 90 minutes, so it never drags on. The film, however, may have benefited from a longer length if subplots or anything else, like action and exciting kills, had been introduced to fill up the void left by the storyline. The movie is dull but not obnoxious. The same producers behind the 47 Meters Down movies also produced this movie.
Perfect sequence in this film that really suited virtual production. So we brought the Dimension gang in to model that sequence and lean into the benefits of virtual production.
It appeared as though they were trying to replicate the latter's success by reusing and only slightly altering the idea of imprisoning people in an unavoidable underwater facility in the middle of shark attacks. It would have been a better idea if the movie had changed things up, rather than attempting to recreate something that had already been. Even if the movie upended expectations by featuring sharks on an aircraft, those who've watched 47 Meters Down, or any other shark movie for that matter, would not be interested in it. The makers have attempted to blend the excitement of the first Final Destination with a contemporary shark attack film, a la 47 Meters Down, but the result just feels like more of the same. Despite being bloodier than 47 Meters Down, this film feels incredibly subdued for an R-rated production. Although the movie has a few ideas on its sleeve, No Way abandons them all to become a clumsy shark thriller that blends in with the crowd. The best idea is the disaster element it incorporates in the introduction, but it then veers into unbearably familiar territory. Nothing in the movie makes sense, and you don't need a Ph.D. in screenwriting, physics, or marine biology to realize this. Do you think any other contemporary underwater thrillers would stand up to much examination? If viewers stick with this movie in the hopes of being startled, they will only come away dissatisfied by this easy, watchable, somewhat repetitive shark attack film. Considering that the movie is an underwater film, it falls short of having outstanding cinematography. For a large portion of its running length, No Way Up is too dark, and the number of pictures of underwater life is extremely low. Although some of the shark effects are really well done, the camera never stays on them long enough for the shark scenes to be genuinely entertaining. Here in the movie, it seems even more unlikely because the sharks aren't cruel enough for the audience to think that they are ferocious predators. While there are a few visually striking short underwater images in this movie, there aren't nearly enough of them to make the film visually distinctive. Like other things about the film, the editing is simple. The soundtrack is forgettable and standard. As you can see, a lot of underwater thrillers have lost interest in trying to appeal to sophisticated, intelligent audiences through dialogue-driven narratives, three-dimensional characters, engaging performances, and scientifically accurate plots. In contrast, here the movie makes no sense at all, but its scientific accuracy is remarkably accurate. Do you think the creators of No Way Up are planning a sequel for the movie? Do share your views on this in the comments section. For more interesting stories and updates, subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to press the bell icon for notifications. Goodbye.